You're listening to my favorite podcast,
The Big Buck Registry.
Big Buck Registries.
Big Buck Registry is Big Buck Registry.
The Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunt Podcast.
Welcome, fellow deer hunters, to the December issue of the Big Buck Registry's Deer News. News you might have missed over the last month. Once again, we're diving into a series of intriguing wildlife management and hunting stories from across the United States. In Wisconsin, the 2023 gun deer season has experienced a decline in harvests, highlighting a strong focus on safety measures. In Massachusetts, legislators are engaging in a heated debate about potentially lifting the century-old ban on Sunday deer hunting, and there's a significant development with the expansion of deer hunting at the Quabbin Reservoir, aiming to manage the increasing deer population and protect the ecosystem. Minnesota introduces us to Hunters for Hunters, a new group addressing the impact of wolves on deer populations. Meanwhile, the state is still grappling with the unsolved case of hunter Terry Brisk, who tragically died 7 years ago. In Utah, the Wildlife Board has announced substantial changes to hunting regulations for 2024, aimed at modernizing practices and ensuring sustainability. Finally, in Pittsburgh, a pilot program in city parks to control the deer population has successfully culled 64 deer, showcasing an effective urban wildlife management strategy. We've got a lot to cover, so let's dive in.
Now here's Jim Keller with the Deer News.
Our first story takes us to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's 2023 gun deer season draws hunters nationwide, sees decrease in harvests. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, DNR, released its annual report on the 2023 gun deer season, providing a detailed look into the state's hunting activities. The season, which attracts hunters from across the nation and beyond, saw a total of 788,697 licenses sold, a minor decline of 0.8% compared to the previous year. Of these licenses, 434,817 were specifically for gun hunting. This year's sales highlighted the extensive reach of Wisconsin's hunting appeal, with participants from all 50 United States and 27 other countries. Online sales dominated, accounting for 66% of the total purchases. In terms of deer harvests, hunters registered a total of 173,942 deer, including 85,390 antlered and 88,552 antlerless deer. This number shows a significant decrease of 17.6% from the previous year's totals. The regional analysis revealed that the northern forest zone experienced the most considerable drop in antlerless deer harvests, with a 27.2% decrease compared to the 5-year average. Safety remained a paramount concern, with the season recording 3 incidents involving firearms. This figure is a reduction from the 8 incidents reported in the previous year. The 10-year average stands at 5.9 incidents per year, with no fatalities in 6 of those years.
Next, we travel to Massachusetts. Massachusetts considers lifting century-old ban on Sunday deer hunting. In a move that could reshape weekend activities for thousands across Massachusetts, state legislators are deliberating on proposals to repeal a long-standing ban on Sunday deer hunting. The Massachusetts Joint Committee on Environment, Natural Resources, and Agriculture recently heard public testimonies on 2 bills aimed at allowing deer hunting on Sundays, a restriction dating back to 19th century blue laws. The proposed bills, H. 877 and H. 912, spearheaded by Representatives William M. Strauss and Allison Sullivan, respectively, are pushing for a change in the archaic law. HB 884, introduced by Strauss, seeks to permit the use of archery equipment on Sundays, while HB 887, introduced by Sullivan, focuses on allowing Sunday hunting during deer season. The initiative comes as farmers and environmentalists express concerns over the burgeoning deer population. According to recent data from the Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, the deer population in the state has risen sharply, reaching an estimated 150,000 in 2023. This rise has led to increased pressures on local agriculture and ecosystems, prompting calls for more effective population control measures. Public testimony during the committee hearing revealed a divided opinion. Supporters of the bills, like Susan Murray, Executive Director of Southeastern Mass Agricultural Partnership, emphasized the growing environmental crisis faced by farmers due to the increasing deer numbers. Opponents, however, like Dr. Marge Peppercorn of Sudbury, voiced safety concerns, highlighting the fear of walking in the woods during hunting season and advocating for non-hunting days to ensure public safety. Massachusetts is one of only 3 states in the country, alongside Maine and Pennsylvania, maintaining a near-total ban on Sunday hunting. The argument for lifting the ban is bolstered by examples from states like Maryland, North Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia, which have successfully lifted similar bans without complications. Advocates argue that with many Americans working 6 days a week, Sundays offer a critical opportunity for hunting, a sentiment echoed by families and hunters seeking parity with other states. The committee concluded the hearing and is accepting written testimonies as it considers the ramifications of changing a law that has shaped the state's hunting culture for over a century. The decision, regardless of its outcome, is set to have significant impacts on both the hunting community and the state's wildlife management practices.
Next, we turn to Minnesota. New Minnesota Hunting Group spotlights wolf impact on deer populations. Hunters for Hunters, a new hunting group in Minnesota, is focusing on wolf management, raising concerns over the state's deer populations. The group has scheduled a series of public meetings across northern Minnesota to address the issue of wolf predation and its effects on hunting. Positioned as a watchdog organization, Hunters for Hunters is advocating for the interests of hunters, landowners, and outdoor sports enthusiasts. They claim that the rising wolf population in Minnesota is a key factor in the declining deer numbers, particularly in the northern areas. Public meetings have been planned in cities such as Carlton, Aurora, Coleraine, Detroit Lakes, and Bagley. Steve Porter, a group member, said that Hunters for Hunters initially focused on deer and wolf issues in Minnesota, but aims to broaden its scope to other states and topics. A previous meeting in Squaw Lake drew 250 attendees, including 3 state senators, signaling a rising concern about the influence of wolves on deer hunting traditions. According to biologists, deer populations in northern Minnesota, notably in the northeast, have been severely impacted by heavy, snowy winters over the past decade. This has affected the deer's reproductive capacity and their ability to evade predators like wolves. Presently, wolves are protected federally under the Endangered Species Act, prohibiting their hunting. Nevertheless, approximately 200 wolves are trapped and killed each year by federal agencies in areas where they threaten pets and livestock. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources estimates the wolf population at about 2,691, primarily in the state's northern half. However, some hunters challenge these estimates, blaming predators rather than climatic conditions for the decrease in deer numbers. The deer harvest during the firearm season in 2023 was down 6% from the previous year, with a significant 18% drop in the Northeast and a 57% fall from the high mark in 2017. Former Governor Mark Dayton's administration allowed wolf hunting and trapping between 2012 and 2014, resulting in over 900 wolves being killed. However, a federal judge later reinstated the wolves' federal protection, and efforts to legislate on this issue have seen little progress. Hunters for Hunters is actively seeking to expand its membership, with annual memberships ranging from $35 to $60. With less than 500,000 of Minnesota's 5.7 million residents engaging in hunting, about 9% of the population, the group's activities highlight changing demographics and interests among the state's residents. As Hunters for Hunters mobilizes to address the intricate dynamics between deer, wolves, and hunters in Minnesota, the outcomes of their meetings and subsequent initiatives could significantly influence wildlife management and hunting practices in the region.
We continue with another story from Minnesota. 7 years on, mystery still shrouds the fatal shooting of Minnesota hunter Terry Brisk. It has been 7 years since the tragic and mysterious death of 41-year-old Terry Brisk, a Minnesota hunter whose case continues to baffle authorities and locals alike. The Morrison County Sheriff's Office, in partnership with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, remains steadfast in their pursuit of answers and justice in this unresolved case. On a fateful day, November 7, 2016, Terry Brisk ventured out for a deer hunting expedition on his parents' property in Morrison County, located east of Little Falls. This routine excursion turned tragic when Brisk was shot and killed, an incident that has since cast a long shadow over the local hunting community. Crucial to the investigation is the belief that Brisk was killed with his own rifle, a detail that emerged when the weapon was discovered a year after the incident. Investigators deduce that Brisk had likely interacted with his assailant at close range before the fatal shot was fired. In their ongoing efforts, the Morrison County Sheriff's Office has embraced advanced technology to perform more extensive testing on evidence collected from the scene. This commitment to leveraging every available resource underscores the determination to bring closure to a case that has remained open for far too long. In the latest developments, the investigation has focused on a specific clue, a blue van or minivan seen in the vicinity on the day of the shooting. This detail could be pivotal in unraveling the mystery surrounding Brisk's death. The community's role in this investigation is crucial, and authorities continue to urge anyone with information, no matter how seemingly insignificant, to come forward. In a significant move to encourage public cooperation, a reward of $30,000 has been announced for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the perpetrator. Contact points for sharing information include the Morrison County Sheriff's Office at 320-632-9233 and Crime Stoppers of Minnesota, accessible at www.crimestoppersmn.org or through their hotline at 800-233-TIPS. An option for anonymous text messages is also available by sending messages to crimes 274637 with the prefix TIP674. As years pass, the urgency to solve this case only intensifies. The persistence of law enforcement and the engagement of the community remain critical in piecing together the events of that November day in 2016 in the hopes of finally providing justice for Terry Brisk and his family.
Now we turn to Massachusetts. Expansion of deer hunting at Quabbin Reservoir, balancing environmental concerns and public opinion. The expansion of deer hunting at the Quabbin Reservoir, a critical measure for environmental management in Massachusetts, has sparked a mix of support and concerns among residents and environmentalists. The decision to include the Quabbin Park area in the deer hunting program for the first time since its inception in 1991 reflects an effort to protect the forest and watershed from deer overpopulation. Deer, known for feeding on young trees vital for water filtration, pose a threat to the health of the forest ecosystem surrounding the reservoir. This strategic move aims to strike a balance between maintaining a healthy deer population and ensuring the regeneration of crucial tree species. However, it has also raised questions among local residents, with some, like Cynthia Ouellette, questioning the methods used for deer population assessment and the decision-making process behind the hunt, particularly the lack of a public forum for discussion. State officials, aware of these concerns, have taken steps to assure the public about the hunt's safety and necessity. They have also shown a commitment to keeping the community informed and ensuring minimal disruption to the popular recreational activities in the Quabbin Park area. The area will be closed only on specific days, chosen for their typically lower visitor traffic, and signs have been posted in advance to notify the public. The inclusion of hunters previously selected for the canceled 2019 hunt demonstrates a fair approach to managing participation. The future use of a lottery system for selecting hunters indicates an ongoing effort to regulate hunting activities responsibly. In summary, the expansion of deer hunting at the Quabbin Reservoir is a complex initiative that balances environmental conservation needs with community concerns and recreational use of the area. The move highlights the challenges and responsibilities of wildlife management in areas that serve multiple purposes for both humans and the environment.
Now we head to Utah. Utah Wildlife Board announces major changes to big game hunting regulations for 2024. In a pivotal meeting, the Utah Wildlife Board made sweeping changes to the state's big game hunting regulations, set to take effect in 2024. These adjustments are geared towards modernizing hunting practices, improving wildlife management, and preserving traditional hunting methods. One significant change is the removal of length restrictions on arrows and bolts for airgun, archery, and crossbow hunting. In a nod to traditional hunting, the board has restricted the use of scopes on muzzle loaders, prohibiting scopes stronger than 1x power for all muzzle loader hunts. This initiative builds upon the existing mandatory reporting for limited entry hunts and recent implementation for antlerless hunts. Hunters will be required to report their hunt results within 30 days with penalties for non-compliance. Addressing environmental challenges, the board has approved a strategy to manage pronghorn populations affected by severe winter snowfall and drought. This involves translocating pronghorns from areas where they are thriving to bolster populations in negatively impacted areas. The dedicated hunter program will also see changes aimed at simplifying its procedures, including redistributing the minimum service hour requirements and shifting to an online method for harvest reporting. In a significant expansion, the board approved the inclusion of new units in the Cooperative Wildlife Management Unit (CWMU) program, which opens private lands to public hunting. This program is integral in encouraging landowners to maintain open spaces and improve wildlife habitats. The board also discussed a research study proposal on different deer hunting strategies in southern Utah, but opted to refer it to the Mule Deer Committee for further evaluation. Additionally, adjustments were made to elk and bison hunting regulations reflecting changing environmental conditions and wildlife behaviors. These changes represent the Utah Wildlife Board's commitment to adapting to changing environmental conditions, technological advancements, and sustainable wildlife management practices. The aim is to ensure the health of big game populations while honoring Utah's rich hunting heritage.
For our last story, we head to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's limited deer hunt in city parks yields positive results. In Pittsburgh, the pilot program for controlling the deer population through archery hunting in Riverview and Frick Parks has made notable progress. Since its initiation, the program has resulted in the culling of 64 deer, with 38 deer removed from Riverview Park and 26 from Frick Park. This initiative, approved by the Pittsburgh City Council and conducted in partnership with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, aims to mitigate the environmental damage caused by the overpopulated deer herd. Allison Keating of Friends of Riverview Park, FORP, highlighted the detrimental effects of the burgeoning deer population, including overgrazing and insufficient food supplies for the deer and other animals. The presence of deer has also inadvertently supported the population of Amynthus earthworms, an ecologically damaging species. Alana Wenk from the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy pointed out the additional damage to park flora, with deer stripping bark from trees during mating season, particularly impacting smaller tree species. She remarked that urban environments have inadvertently become perfect habitats for deer, with no natural predators and abundant food sources. The city's website addresses the potential for alternative population control methods, explaining why fertility control, like the immunocontraceptive Gonacon, is not currently a viable option in Pennsylvania. It's noted that such methods are typically used in conjunction with herd reduction techniques. Keating emphasized that the hunting program is part of a broader strategy to repair park ecosystems, including replanting consumed vegetation. The program is expected to be a continuous process due to the deer's reproductive patterns. While the program is in effect, Riverview and Frick Parks remain open to residents. Hunters assigned to specific areas often away from populated trails are required to shoot a doe first, with the meat donated to city food banks. As of October 23rd, 44 deer have been harvested, providing around 5,180 meals to those in need. This pilot program, which is only for the current hunting season, could set a precedent for future deer management in Pittsburgh, with hopes to develop a comprehensive deer management program outlining specific metrics for success. That concludes this month's edition of the Big Buck Registry's Deer News. If you have any ideas for future topics or have questions about any of these topics, please email me at jim@bigbuckregistry.com.
I'm Dusty Phillips.
I'm Jim Keller.
And I'm J. Scott Ammon. And thank you for tuning in to the Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunt podcast. We can be found on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you would like to support us in our cause, please consider buying some merchandise off of our merch page by visiting www.bigbuckmerch.com. Catch you next time and good luck in the deer woods.